Warhammer has just come out with a new character encyclopedia, which is kind of like a coffee table book, or as I like to call it, it's a picture book for adults. It is basically a collection of all the major characters that are now active in the Warhammer setting, and more importantly, it comes with a Lieutenant Titus miniature. I think for a lot of people, the miniature is going to be the main reason that they pick up this book because it for Warhammer prices, getting a character at this price point is actually pretty good. So I have already picked out the character. As you can see, the sprue does seem empty here, and I'll show you the model in a bit. In any case, this is the book. The first thing you might notice is that it's not exactly as big as one would expect from a book like this. It's a bit on the squattier side, and even more disappointingly, perhaps, is that half of this book is actually the packaging for the miniature, and this is gonna be an awkward book to, let's say, read in your bed. Like I said, the book is smaller than one would expect. I got this online, and initially I thought maybe it would be at least the size of a codex. Here it is as a size comparison with one of the older Warhammer books, the one with the very iconic Black Templar uh, art. And as you can see, it's quite shorter. It's thicker, but like I said, the thickness is mainly due to the model's packaging. Here it is in comparison with a regular book. More about this book later on as well. And yeah, so don't expect a big coffee table size book if you are getting this. Let's take a look inside. The initial picture of basically Lionel Johnson going up against Angron, which are the two latest Primarchs to be released at time of recording. But there are rumors that more are coming soon. Here you have a good look at the content. So it is split in many ways how GW usually splits it, which is you get the Imperium first, then Chaos, then the Xenos faction. For once, I wish maybe they would start with the Xenos, but it is what it is. The Imperium is the poster child for Warhammer. So let's get into it. We will be starting off, I guess, with an introduction, which has this. Now, this is the kind of art I actually like. But I will tell you right now, most of the pictures that you get in this are going to be of the models. So here we have a really nice Dark Angel captain. Is this Azrael? Might be Azrael. It does look like him. And we have an introduction to the setting. We have the galaxy timeline. So this is pretty cool. It's a good fast reference in case you want to just like remember what happened when, or at least it gives a general idea of how things goes. This flows down. That's the flow, which is, yeah, I guess that's one way of creating a timeline. I think it would have been better if they did it diagonally, but this is what they've chosen, so that's pretty nice. Here we have the Imperium factions, we have the Space Marines, the Adeptus Sororitas, the Astra Militarum, the Adeptus Mechanicus, the Inquisition, and the Adeptus Custodes. So we will be starting with most of the characters from that. Like I said, it is a character encyclopedia, and even then, it feels a bit odd because it's a character encyclopedia for 40k, and a lot of the more interesting characters are set in 30k, so you won't be getting any of the other Primarchs like Vulcan or Horus even, because I think it's only for the characters that have models out right now. In any case, we start off with Gilliman. Uh, it's quite a cool model, and I believe in one of the other books that they released as an encyclopedia, he was in the front. Not my favorite model though, it is a bit gaudy for the lack of a better word. But he's a Primarch. I guess he's supposed to be all shiny. There he is holding the Emperor's sword. You get some information on uh, his stats. No, not really. Yeah, you get some. You get like a small. It's not stats exactly. It's more like what his role is, his affiliation, and his war gear. It really is a starter book for people who are just getting into the lore. If you're somebody who's already been into 40k for a long time, this might be a bit disappointing. But the thing is, for me at least, I currently live in a country where Warhammer does not really exist, but DK Books does, and this book is produced by DK Books. So like I picked it up immediately because beggars can't be choosers kind of deal. When you don't have Warhammer stores, you kind of try and get whatever you can. So we have more details on Gilliman. We have Malleus Calgar, the leader of the Ultramarines, or at least he was until Gilliman came back. And this is his older model. I do believe that a newer model for him has come. So basically, you get details on him. So this is how the book works. We'll be skipping through a bit. Now, we won't be taking a look at every single character, but we will definitely be taking a look at Dimitri and Titus. So this is Lieutenant Titus, who has now been promoted to captain, and here it is. So this is the Demetrian Titus model. So the hero of both Space Marine 1 and Space Marine 2, and this is the model that you get with the book, which has one of the dumbest poses that I've ever seen. So I have already cut this out, and this is the model. As you can see, I did not go with that pose. I did a slight modification, which I think really makes it better. I will take a look at this model a bit more towards the end. So yeah, we get information on Titus, which is a fan favorite character right now. And up next we have the Primarch of the Dark Angels and the person in the front of the cover, Lionel Johnson himself. Now this to me is probably one of the best recent models that have come out. It is truly beautiful. I really like everything about the lion. I like his alternate helmets, and the Watchers in the Dark is a good addition. So this is a really good model, and so stuff like this is what this book is for. You basically get a good piece of the model, a bit of his lore, a bit on the variants, and an up close look at his war gear. So yeah, so that's what this book is for. It's definitely a fun book to have, as you can see. Like, I don't think anything in this is going to be anything new or not something that people haven't seen, but it is good to have all this in one place. And we get a bit more of the Dark Angels. So I'm just going to be glancing through this because there's a lot of Space Marine models. And we get, yeah, this should give you a basic idea on how this book works. You get the model, you get a bit of information on them. I wish there was a bit more information because on some of this it's really small, and if you read them, you'll notice that it's not really saying much other than, the most basic of things. But if you're new to the hobby or new to the lore, this might be good to pick up so that you have a general idea on who the big players are. We have Dante, the oldest living Space Marine, I believe, with the exception of Beyond the Fell-Handed from the Space Wolves, who is in a dreadnought. So I guess technically he's the oldest regular Space Marine. And he also just very recently got a new model. I don't remember if he had proper wings before, but these new tiny wings painted onto the back of the jetpack is really silly. I don't understand why they did that, because a lot of the Blood Angels used to have proper angelic wings on the back, but I think they're kind of moving away from that aesthetic, which is sure. So they do have it, but it's only for the Sanguinor, and yeah, so more of them had this kind of an aesthetic, but I think that a lot of the newer models now have jump packs instead. This is as Thorat the Grim. I actually don't know anything about this guy. I look forward to reading about him later. And there is Mephiston, the Lord of Death. If you wanted Dracula in space, this is who you're looking for. He's also a psyker, probably one of the strongest ones out there. And here we have the new amazing Logan Grimnar model. This is such an upgrade from the older model because, I mean, just look at him. They're really leaning a lot more into the Space King, I mean, the Space Viking aesthetic with this one rather than what I think everybody knows him as Santa Claus in space. That's what his old model looked like. He was being pulled by his two wolves. I don't know, that model always looked kind of silly to me. This is a lot cooler, a lot more aura farming, as the kids would say it. Here, Ragnar Blackmane. I actually have a model of Ulrich the Slayer somewhere. I should get it out. But I did put the wolf helmet on him. I think that's a better aesthetic. And here we have Beyond the Fell-Handed. He's, again, a personal favorite of mine. I have his model, and he is such a legend. He is the oldest Space Marine still around in the setting. He was there for the Horus Heresy, although he is in a walking coffin right now. And yeah, that's some beautiful art. I have the older model. This is the model that I have, which was made in 1994. Wow, I have an old piece of Warhammer stuff with me. I just realized that that miniature is almost my age, so that just caught me off guard. We have a few more Spacefuls. I'm just gonna run through them. Next, we have the Salamanders. Uh, so yeah, I'm gonna maybe cruise through pretty quickly with all the Space Marines. I mean, they're all interesting chapters, but yeah, basically it's all the starting chapters, and each one gets one model each, which kind of represents what the chapter is all about. Oh, the Imperial Fist actually gets two. That's nice. With Garadon. And here we have Commander Helbrecht. So this is the Black Templar chapter master, and that model looks more like a diorama than anything else. Beautiful art, like again a fan favorite chapter. Very Crusader Knights in space aesthetic, and they actually kind of do knights a bit better than the Dark Angels do, which is supposed to be the knight faction. They have Grimaldus, the hero of Hell's Reach. If you've seen that animated video, you'll know why he's so legendary. I have a few more. Yep, and then we have the Grey Knights, which are kind of Space Marines. And the chapter I personally started with. I was a Grey Knight player a long time ago. And yeah, we have the. Oh god, this range really needs an update. The Grandmaster Voldus is. I think he's one of the newer Grey Knight models, and he looks pretty aged. Brother Captain Stern looks horrible. So I actually have a few of the new uh, Terminators, and they just tower over the older Grey Knights. It's kind of sad. I really wish they would come out with an update. I think Castellan Crow is the only Grey Knight model to have gotten an update in a long time. And next to it, we have Lord Caldo Drago. That model shows its age. It looks pathetic. They should really update this. I don't know why they haven't. I feel like Grey Knights as a faction has really been ignored as of recently. I think this. Then we have another slightly ignored faction in the Death Watch. And yeah, Death Watch makes for great kill teams. Again, these models seem aged, but I know that they have gotten a few updates with kill team and stuff. We have the Lord Solar Leontis. I guess we are moving on to the Astra Militarum. And yeah, this is a new model. That horse, I mean, this model looks great, but the horse does look a bit confused. Whenever I see him, it feels like the horse is very surprised to be there, which, if you're a horse in a futuristic war field, I guess you would be kind of surprised. So you get some nice lore on who is basically the leader of the Astra Militarum, I guess. I guess he is the kind of like what a Primarch is to Space Marines. I'm not too sure. I should read up on the lore. Okay, we have Commissar Yarrick, another fan favorite character who has just recently got a new model, and that new model is actually much better. I don't know why he looks like a ghoul in this one. Like he looks half dead in this model. If you look at the face, the new model has somehow made him seem younger, which is not impossible, I guess, in the 41st millennia because of the technology, but it's definitely a thing. This model is pretty cool and iconic, but I do think the newer model is better, and we have a picture of the old, really old Yarrick, uh, bought out in 1992, which just looks silly to me. That crab claw is, well, it's a choice. We have Ursula Creed, another one of the Cadian leaders. She's kind of cool. I like the double guns that she's has in front. I don't know if you can pose her, maybe, like holding two guns, then that would be a cool pose to have. But I don't know if that option is there within the model, because in the model variant, they're just showing her with binoculars and a helmet. But it would be much cooler if she was, dual wielding pistols. So we have more models. We have the older Creed. I'm just gonna look through them. Yeah, so I'm just gonna quickly move through. So next, let's take a quick look at the Chaos factions. And I think one thing you will notice about the book is just how glossy it is. I, for the life of me, cannot get a situation in which the light is not bouncing off these pages, and that is because of the way I've kept the book, and it's because the light is directly on it to get a better view of it. But for the life of me, it's really really reflective. So Chaos, the four main factions are going to be based on the four Chaos gods, but we start off with Chaos Undivided, and we have Abaddon, the War Master, the leader of Chaos, I suppose is the best way to look at him. He's the leader of the Black Legion, at least, and beautiful model, kind of a strange character. So Abaddon is given a lot of fanfare in the books, but personally I find him quite dull, and that top knot is not really doing any help. But he is a major character in it. We have Harkin, World Claimer. So let's just go through this quickly. So then we have the Cornite factions. We have, yeah, Korn is the god of blood, blood for the blood god, and all that. We have the model for Khan the Betrayer, who has the opposite problem with Abaddon, because awesome character, really love his lore, but kind of a dated model. I don't know, is this a newer model? But I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of this model. I think Khan should be a bit bigger. Hopefully they will bring out a newer model for him soon. What comes after that? Next we have the Death Guard. We have Mortarion, one of the Demon Primarchs, one of the earlier ones to come out. Again, amazing model, pretty good lore as well. You can see his Horus Heresy model here, which is also pretty cool. That scythe really does help in making a character look amazing. So we got the Death Guard, we got some nice pictures of Mortarion over there. None of these pictures are new for the book, by the way. I'm pretty sure I've seen all of this in older codexes or other places. But it is nice to have all that together. We have Typhus, who is supposed to be Mortarion's second in command, but kind of acts more like the leader of the Death Guard now. And we have the new Fulgrim model. This model is gorgeous. It's an amazing model. I personally not a huge fan of the Primarch, but you gotta admit they sculpted a pretty nice, monstrous Primarch with this one. I'm hoping for more weirder models like this when the other Primarchs come out, which for the Chaos factions shouldn't be too hard, but with the Loyalists, who knows? I hope everybody just does not look like a bigger Space Marine. That's a bit dull to me. So with that, we have the Slaneshi faction, which is, I think, the newest faction to come out and maybe one of the smallest. We have Lucius, the Eternal's new model. Huge upgrade from the old model. Still not that big of a fan. of the character or the models. In fact, just not the aesthetic that I go for, I guess. We have Abby as well, who is much cooler character, wearing a skin coat, I guess. Yeah, he's like your Dr. Frankenstein in the Warhammer setting. We have Huron Blackheart, who also very recently got a new updated model, so this is a bit out of date. We have Cypher, who I really wish with the Lions coming, they did something with him, but he still seems to just be as mysterious as ever. We have the Demons of Chaos next. We have Scarbrand and Skull Takers. So these are the non-Space Marine Chaos uh, characters. So you have the major demons, which are what Chaos is actually all about. We have the Zinch demons, Nurgle, and yep, Slanesh. Here we have Belkor, the demon of Chaos Undivided. And did this book come out in time for Wastot to be there? Yes, he's here as well. So these are the two Chaos Undivided demon leaders, I guess, Belkor and Wastot. And they kind of hate each other, which is a fun bit of lore. And this model, both these models actually are quite nice. If I were to collect Chaos, I guess I wouldn't mind going with one of these, probably Watchtower, and have a nice Iron Warriors Legion. Then we have the Xenos factions, the four major ones being Orcs. I mean, the six major ones now. Oh, yeah. So that's the Orcs, the Eldari, the Tyranids, the Necrons, the Tau, and the Leagues of Wotan. The Leagues of Wotan, maybe, I don't know, calling them alien is a bit weird because I think even within the lore, they are described as an offshoot of humanity that just went to a world with really high gravity. But I guess they are Xenos now. We start with Grasgul Traka of the Orcs, who is the Prophet of the War. Amazing character. With the new Armageddon update coming, I believe that we'll probably be seeing more of him. Huge rival to Yarrick as well. They keep trying to make him have rivalries with other people, but him and Yarrick just work. More orcs. I hope with this you guys got a pretty decent idea on how this book works. If you want to pick it up, I will leave a link to it on Amazon. It's from where I got it. Came in pretty good shape. And here we are moving on to the Tyranids. I was wondering what Tyranid characters that they would present because they don't really have much. It's a hive mind, right? So they have the Swarm Lord here, and they have Old One Eye, which is probably one of the only unique characters the Tyranids have. And even that, it's kind of strange how the lore for that works because the Tyranids don't really have individualistic ideas or anything. So it's kind of weird that Old One Eye is a thing. We have the Death Leaper Assassin, which is a Tyranid with a cape. Kind of cool model though. Then we move on to the Eldar. We have Eldar Ulthrain. And yeah, so like I said, I hope this gives a general idea on how this looks. I know for a fact that the Eldar have a lot of new Phoenix Lords and stuff. So these are some of the cooler models that have come out. And they do have, yeah, you can have an idea on how all of them look with official GW artwork to boot. Like I said, it's a nice book to have on the side table to just pick up before you like go to sleep or something and take a quick look through. Or when you're, I don't know, playing the game or watching some or reading one of the books just to maybe have a quick look at what the character looks like. Although I should say that the Warhammer books aren't that great. Here we have Yevrain. She was supposed to be a big thing, but you don't really hear a lot about her now. I think they kind of sidelined her and the whole Yanari plotline. Cool model though. Created a lot of memes. Gotta appreciate that. And that's a nice cat. Now I think this is the Drukari faction. Yeah, we have the Drukaris next. And I'm just gonna quickly go through it. And I guess finally we have, yeah, we have the Drukaris next. And I'm just gonna quickly go through it. And I guess finally we have, yeah, we have the Drukaris next. And I guess finally we have, yeah, we have the Drukaris next. And I guess finally we have, yeah, we have the Drukaris next. And I guess finally we have, yeah, we have the Drukaris next. And I guess finally we have, yeah, we have the Drukaris next. And I guess finally we have, yeah, we have the Drukaris next. And I guess finally we have, yeah, we have the Drukaris next. And I guess finally we have, yeah, we have the Drukaris next. And I guess finally we have, yeah, we have the Drukaris next. And I guess finally we have, yeah, we have the Drukaris next. And I guess finally we have, yeah, we have the Drukaris next. And I guess finally we have, yeah, we have the Drukaris next. And I guess finally we have, yeah, we have the Drukaris next. And I guess finally we have, yeah, we have the Drukaris next. And I guess finally we have, yeah, we have the Drukaris next. And I guess finally we have, yeah, we have the Drukaris next. And I guess finally we have, yeah, the Leagues of Voltan, I don't think they have a lot of characters. We just have Uthar the Destined, and oh, there is the tower after that. Wow. So in this entire book, the Leagues of Wotan have exactly one page dedicated to them, and that is for Uthar the Destined. So let's please take a look at him. Yep, cool model. Like him better with the helmet. Yeah, the Leagues of Wotan still need a lot more lore, even at time of recording. Then we have Commander Farsight. Again, gorgeous model. Really love the character as well. He has a vampire sword that keeps him young, which I think is a Chaos Blade. Not too sure about that, but all in all, really cool model, really cool aesthetic. More Tau forces, and then we have the Necrons, one of my favorite factions, faction that I do collect, and I have a bit of. We have Sazarek, the Silent King, which is like the faction leader for the Necrons. So if you want one of the big boys in Warhammer 40k, this is who you go for. He has a Catan shard that he uses as a battery for his floating platform, which is always, a power move. Long escape and two guys to help him. Silent King lore is kind of cool, but he does seem underpowered because he's supposed to be, let's say, on the level of the Emperor, but for the Necrons. But at least till now, I haven't seen him do anything that exciting in the lore or on the tabletop setting. So I hope they do more with him. But I think they're moving towards orcs next, so probably not. We have Immortek the Stormlord, another very cool character. We have the two favorites, Tryzen the Infinite and Oracle the Diviner. And if you are looking for a book to start getting into 40k, the Infinite and the Divine is probably one of the best books that you can read in the Warhammer setting. In fact, even if you're not a fan of Warhammer, I believe that is one of the few books in the 40k universe that I think you can just pick up and read as a sci-fi book and still enjoy it. It's a really fun book. It's one of the few books you can recommend to non-Warhammer fans to maybe try to get them into it. And obviously, the Streisand and Orkin, who are the two leads in that, they have a very, I guess the word is frenemy kind of relationship. I'm more of a fan of Streisand myself because, like a lot of people who are into Warhammer, I guess he's a collector, and I love everything about him. That it's cool. That, like I said, read that book if you haven't. Few more Necrons, and I think that's brings us almost towards the end. Yes, we finally have the glossary, and yeah, so that's the book. You have the index, and yeah, we have a nice final cover, and the very back we have the Fulgrim model. There's a reason they put him in the back. It is a gorgeous model. So that's it. That is the Warhammer character encyclopedia. That was a good look at it. Now let's take a quick look at the Lieutenant Titus model that we get as well. And finally, let's take a look at the main reason a lot of us will be getting the book, which is this little Lieutenant Titus model right here. And I gotta say, at least the way they designed it, I think that pose is really dumb. So I did not pose him that way, but here he is. What I did is a very small fix, which is to say that basically I just, planted both his feet to the ground. I think this looks a lot better. And so it does take a bit of finagling because this tactical rock right here is actually connected to his other foot. But if you can just cut that off and paste it down here, I think this pose looks a lot better. And here, so here he is standing next to the other pose that's given to him, which kind of makes him look like a jumping ballerina. I'm not a fan of that pose at all. The model itself is good, but again, he runs into the Space Marine problem of he doesn't really look that different from any of the other Space Marines. I was thinking of giving him the helmet as well. The sprue does come with a helmet, but it made him look way too much like a generic assault intercessor. Here he is next to a very regular assault intercessor, and honestly, because of the chainsword and the bolt gun, you can't really tell them apart if you put a helmet on them. Uh, In fact, I don't know what's stopping people from just painting the helmet red of a regular assault intercessor and calling him Lieutenant Titus. I guess that's one way of that's a huge Space Marine issue all around. Yeah, that's the thing. He does look a bit generic, but it's still a cool model. Like I said, the one thing I hated the most was the pose, but I managed to kind of fix that. I genuinely think this is a better way of doing him. And yeah, so that's a final look at Titus. And yeah, with that, I think that concludes my review of the Warhammer Character Encyclopedia, including the Lieutenant Titus miniature. Okay, so here's a much closer look at the model in his new pose. Personally, think that this pose looks a lot better on him as opposed to this. But there you have it. The Lieutenant Titus model that comes free with the Warhammer Character Encyclopedia. I think that brings us to the conclusion of the Warhammer Character Encyclopedia review, along with a quick look at the Lieutenant Titus miniature that comes with it. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please do leave a like and share and comment and do all the YouTube pleasantries. Also, if you are a fan of sci fi, fantasy, and books like Warhammer, I'm an author myself. You can check out my books. The New World Odyssey series. The first one is The Soldiers of Ares, and there are three more books in the series right now. I will leave a link to the audiobooks which are available on YouTube in the comments for them as well. You can also find them on Amazon, and I will leave a link for the character encyclopedia to Amazon as well. So do check all this out if it interests you. Bye.